Hello, Stockman Peep. Well, I'm still requisitioned upstairs. School holidays, and we got a couple of the Joeys with us for a couple of weeks, so it's a bit noisy downstairs. Ha! Right, Sandy Camp, on me go. Right, chapter 9. I think I missed out saying chapter 8 last week. Chapter 9. Now, so many stories to tell you, but let's just start off in this one. Right, we're out at the branding corrals now. Now, you've got to set the scene. Dusty, few Bathurst burrs about, red hot, and because it's so hot, you've got a fire alight with branding irons in it. And I reckon anyone in that area died and went to the devil, because most of them would have gone to the devil. They said to the devil, any chance you could throw a log on the fire. Anyway, that's how hot it was. And you've got all these cattle everywhere. Oh, it was streaming with it. The corrals were made up of old railway sleepers covered in tar as they were to preserve them. But of course, everything out in these arse places like that didn't take many years before they started to rot. Everything rotted on it, particularly your clothing. You know, everything was starting to rot. After just a few weeks, it started to rot on you. Anyway, you separated the calves from the cows. Now you're thinking calves. Well, these things are about 3 years old. And they're as big as a normal blimmin' cow, 3/4 of a ton, half a ton. And you've got them corned up in a corner. Next to this old corral, by the way, was a great big pond, and we'll get to that in a minute. A great big old pond thing with a few coolabah trees round it and all this and that. Anyway, keep that in mind. So what you done was, one of you grabbed the calf, blimmin' calf, it stood taller than me, and lifted its leg up, put your foot in its bum. The other one grabbed it round the neck and the horns, and you kicked it over. So you're now on the ground in the muck. So you must not let that leg come in, because it's that powerful. When it would kick and it'd be away. You've got to keep it dead straight with your foot up its bum. And the other one's got its head round its neck and up its nose, and the other arm just over its eyes, and you've got it. Then one of the other station managers, workers would come in. They'd de-horn it, take the horns off of it, powder down there. Then they'd come over, and if it was a male, one a bull, they'd come in and castrate it. Then they'd come in with the branding islands through the fence, because you've got a fire going as well, just to make it a bit more interesting. And then they'd brand it. Well, I can assure you that now and again, some of them got up a little bit annoyed. And you had to hit that fence and get splinters you got in your hands, I'll tell you. Bang, and this is how your day's work went on. And it was red hot. And you had to run a few times to get away from them, and you were branding and you're de-horning them and God knows what, and boom. So we got to the end of the day here. Now there's a lot of these station hands there, and these are wonderful riders, and a few of the Aboriginal boys. I told you how wonderful they are, and they'd all one things, and me. So I said, right, we're going to have a race. They said, and it's down into that clump of trees and back. And the first one in the pond is the winner. Now remember, there's no TV or nothing like that. You have to make your own entertainment up in these places. There was a radio, but it was ever so crackly and you couldn't hear it. Only Mr. Robinson had that anyway. And right, so we all lined up. I thought I'll have a go, bit of a go here on old Blossom, the young one, not Mary Lou, not the old circus horse Mary Lou. So anyway, this race started off. Bang. Now we've gone down about, I don't know, half a mile, round this clump, and I'm about third or fourth. And I thought, oh, this isn't too bad, I'm not trailing by 300 or 400 yards against all these professional blimmin' right, God knows what. And we're getting a bit closer. I thought, hang on, it never occurred to me. This silly old. Well, I thought, I'm coming in second here. And there's all these ones, and there's Jackson's from the Overflow, and there's Peterson's from High Grange. These are all the names of the stations, but you all help each other on these days when you're rounding all these cattle. And all of a sudden, I'm in front. Bang! So we hits the ground, strips off my dack, strips off my shirt, and went a little bit commando in those days. But anyway, bang! In we went into the water. I thought, I won. And when I lifted up, it was all a setup. The whole thing was a setup. And they're all there roaring their heads with laughter. And I'm looking, I thought, oh, hello. Penny dropped then, I said, there's not crocodiles in here, is there? And they said, no. I said, nothing, no. I said, why aren't you all in there? They said, we wouldn't go in there. I said, why is that? They said, it's infested with leeches. Well, you should have seen me when I stepped out of the water. My God, I had about 10 leeches on me. Oh my God. Forget all your African Queen and Humphrey Bogart and all. You daren't touch them. They've got 8 tentacles that go in there. And if you touch a leech and break it up and you leave them tentacles, you're in big trouble, boy. Because that will fester. What you have to do is, because the leech is that greedy, it only takes about a minute, he'll fill himself up on your blood and then he'll drop off dead. And that's what you have to do, just stand there. So I just stood there like they're roaring themselves with laughter, you know. Great big leech on me bum. Oh, God. And boom, they filled up with blood and dropped off dead. So that was the end of that race. Anyway, I won the race. Bang, so we had that. Now, anything for a bit of entertainment. Anything for a bit of entertainment. I don't know, I've got so many stories. Right, okay. Right, let's have a little word with about Mary Lou. Now, Mary Lou was a very, very old horse, and they put me on it to begin with, just a little bit of work round the station, just to get used to being in the saddle. As I said, I told them I couldn't ride a horse, and if anyone asked me to this day, I'd still say I can't ride a horse. Anyway, and I got she was put into a trailer, taken. I was going to sell her or something or other, and we got near a town. You can look this up, called Quambone. And they said, let's go into a town, pick up some supplies and this and that. So another little setup here. So I got on the back of Mary Lou, and off we went into town, you know, a bit of a job. We'd camped just outside of town, and all the town folk were out, all 10 of them, and they started to clap. And it's absolutely true. I say entertainment was non-existent, so anything for a bit of a laugh. And I'm coming into the town, and up her ears went, and they started to applaud, and the bloody thing went into a dance. And I thought, oh my, and I'm standing like that, and she crossed her front legs, that way, and then she went into a little bit of a bow. So I thought, what do you do? So I took my hat off and done a bow with her. And then went into the town. I forget how old I was, in about 20s. You weren't allowed to drink at all in the local pub. I tried. You weren't allowed at all. All you could have was a sarsaparilla. That's it, a sarsaparilla. You weren't allowed alcohol till you were 21 years of age. Anyway, Quambone, dying of all places. Absolutely dying. It was so far from everywhere. Anyway, that was Mary Lou. Now, Blossom was a different kettle of fish. She was the next horse they gave us. I gave you yours. Now, she was a mare, and she was 17 hands high, and what a fiery thing that was. And you can imagine that. This is where I think I might have mentioned where all the Aboriginals used to gather of a morning to watch the. And I've got to say it. I'm not being the silly white Englishman put all this furniture on the horse. To approach that rearing up and its eyes in the back of its head with a bridle, you've caught it in the corral. You've trapped it in the corral, so it's just one way down, and that's at the end, and you've got to face it. And my heart was in me. I thought, right, I'd walk straight at it, show no fear. And cornered it up in the thing, got a 17-hand eye horse here kicking in the air, and then put the blimmin' bridle on the blimmin' thing, bang. But then at least on Blossom, being a young strong horse, I could do a full day's work, and that was the idea of it. And bang out we'd go and we'd start. It wasn't all horseback work, I might just tell you. I spent many a day clearing out Bathurst burrs from all the water lines all the way down. Things like that, driving the sheep, as I told you, they're so awkward. The scrub was absolutely big and heavy, and you just worked on. Right, okay, now I'm going to leave that for this week, and we'll still carry on at Sandy Camp for a few goes. Don't forget to subscribe, and the next week's a few more stories at Sandy Camp, and we move on just a little bit. Okay. All the very, very best, everyone. God bless you all. Stockman Pete.